One of my favorite theologians, Irma Bombeck, had a lot to say about parenting. One of my favorite ones from her is she's talking about child raising, and she says one of the most difficult jobs of child raising is knowing when to take your child, when your child needs medical attention and when he doesn't. And year after year, pediatricians dole out instructions that are some of the best comedy material being written today, like make sure he keeps it down. How are you going to do that? And how about don't let him scratch? She says that's like telling the Pope to buy a leisure suit. Keep him quiet and in bed is another goodie, but my all-time favorite is watch his stool. Do you know any mothers personally who have ever followed that advice? My son swallowed a nickel once and I was ready to declare it a tax write-off and forget it. My mother was outraged. You have to take that child to a doctor and see where it's lodged. It could be serious. So the doctor examined him and through x-rays discovered that the nickel had traveled. He then turned to me and with a serious look on his face said, "You need to watch his stool." To which I said, "Why would I want to do that?" For the nickel. Oh, money's no object to us. We own our own home and even have a microwave oven. It's not the money, the doctor said. Don't you want to know what happens to him? To which I replied, not that badly. There are some things you don't ask a high school graduate to do. I think she is so funny. This morning in this session, we are going to be looking at God's perspective of motherhood, and we are on page 108. God's perspective of motherhood. Letter A tells us, as we start, that mom has a powerful influence. Our influence is powerful. We are in a struggle for the hearts and minds of our children. It used to be that the home was the main sphere of influence, and now it's just one of many, and there is all kind of stuff out there fighting for the minds and hearts of our children. Well, a friend of mine says that it's like sending your kids out into a world full of Milky Way bars and bringing them home to a piping hot bowl of green beans. You know, what's out there looks really good. But is it good for our children? We have a powerful influence in their lives. Letter B says that mom is irreplaceable in the family. If you died today, they could replace you on your PTA board. They would find somebody else to take your committee over at church. In your job, I hate to tell you this, as needed as you feel you are, they could replace you by lunchtime. But you cannot be replaced in the lives of your children. You are irreplaceable in your family. C says that a woman's upbringing shapes her value of motherhood. 1 says, how has your mother influenced your feelings and values concerning the family? If I were to ask you, I'm going to ask you, I want you to think up one-word adjectives that describe your mother. Giving, committed, godly, sharing, caring, patient, hardworking, tired, brave. Or you know what? I'm hearing really good things right now. There are a lot of you out there, your words aren't very good words that you're thinking. But maybe you're just a little less vocal at this point. All right, I want you to keep that in mind and look at number 2. It says, what are your fears about being a mom? Well, those of you with these great adjectives for your mother, your fears may be, how can I fill her shoes? How can I do what she was able to do for our family in this day and age? Those of you that are having negative thoughts right now, your fears may be, I'm going to end up just like her. I'm going to say the things, I'm going to do the things that absolutely drove me crazy. I'm going to be just like that. But the great thing is that if you'll look at letter D, still keeping this all in mind, motherhood's not impossible. And not only is motherhood not impossible, but our upbringing, the way we were raised, it's not impossible to work through as well. Number 1 says your view of motherhood does not have to be tainted by the deficiencies in your upbringing. We may be affected by how we were raised, but we do not have to be controlled by how we were raised. There's a book, and it is up here, The Tribute and the Promise, a great book in dealing with, Dennis Rainey brings out the fifth commandment of honoring your father and mother. And if you go back to Exodus and look at it, he doesn't say to honor those that did it right. He doesn't say to honor the ones that did a really good job at it. He says to honor your father and mother. And he has a great quote in here that I want to read to you. He says, honoring your parents is an attitude accompanied by actions that says to your parents, you are worthy, you have value. You are the person that God sovereignly placed in my life. You may have failed me, hurt me, and disappointed me at times, but listen to this. I am taking off the judicial robe, and I am releasing you from the courtroom of my mind. For some of you in here this morning, the time has come to let go of the past. The time has come to grant forgiveness and to give honor. And it will not always be easy to do. The time has also come to realize that yes, you may be affected, but you do not have to be chained down by your upbringing, because Jesus Christ can break the chains that try to bind us and keep us from becoming all that He desires for us to be as a mother. Motherhood is not impossible. And number two, it can be enhanced by a number of things. First of all, seeking an older role model, going back to Titus, where the older women were instructed to teach the younger women. We have a program in our church, or had a program, Heart to Heart, where it paired older women and younger women. There's so much that we can learn from women who have walked in our shoes. It doesn't have to be a special program. Find somebody whose kids are grown and you like what you see in their marriage, you like what you see in her children, you like what you see in her, and spend time with her. Soak up what she has to teach you. Reading helpful books, that's why we have the Resource Center. Godly professional counseling. We've covered that a good bit. Let me get you to add letter D, which in my opinion should be letter A. Ask God for wisdom. Write down James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God. And it doesn't say, and if he feels like it, he'll give it to you. It says it will be given to you. Ask God to help you become the mom that He desires for you to be. Psalm 32:8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you and watch over you. Again, not maybe. I will help you. Just turn to Him and ask for His guidance as well. At letter E, it says that motherhood is a high and holy calling. Children are truly a gift from God. Now look at the top of page 109. This says that, letter F, that motherhood is often devalued by the culture. We find ourselves in a culture that has a definite definition of what success is. And women who devote a large portion of their time to their husbands and their children are not seen as successful women. We will not win the most successful graduate award at our high school reunions. It doesn't work that way. There was a great example of this last year in South Carolina. We named, or whoever named, the Mother of the Year for South Carolina. Now, as I was reading the article, she had 8 children, and I'd say she deserves the Motherhood of the Year award. But as you read her list of qualities, you saw that it listed the community boards she was on, her volunteer activities. Nothing, y'all, on this list of qualifications had anything to do with her husband or her children. That's the culture that we live in, the crazy, mixed-up culture. And it is often devalued. But in God's perspective, look at Numbers 1 and 2. A successful mom is defined by the choices that she makes. And we are making choices daily. And the supermom myth is unrealistic. And I want to sit here for a minute. Another Irma Bombeck is called Sharon. Everyone said Sharon was a terrific mother. Her neighbors said it. She painted the inside of her garbage cans with enamel. She grew her own vegetables, and she made winter coats for the entire family from remnants. Her mother said it. Sharon color coordinated the children's clothes and put them in labeled drawers. She laundered aluminum foil to use it again. She wrote her congressman regularly, and she cut everyone's hair in the household. Her children's teachers said it. Some of you will squirm here. She packed nutritious lunches with little raised faces on the sandwiches. She was homeroom mother, belonged to 5 carpools, and once blew up 234 balloons by herself for the 7th grade cotillion. Her best friend said it. She built a bed out of scraps left over from the patio. She kept a Boston fern alive for a whole year. And when the group ate lunch, she was the one that always figured out who owed what. Sharon found time to read all the dirty books and campaign against them. She corresponded with a poor family in Guatemala in Spanish. She put together a cookbook to raise funds for the new coffee maker for the church. Sharon was one of those women blessed with a knack for being organized. She planned a theme party for the dog's birthday, and she made elaborate Halloween costumes out of grocery bags. Sharon kept a schedule that would have brought any other woman to her knees. You need 25 women to chaperone a party? Give the list to Sharon. Need a mother to convert the school library to a Dewey Decimal System? Call Sharon. Need someone to organize a block party, garage sale, school carnival? Get Sharon. Sharon was a super mom. Her gynecologist said it. Her butcher said it. Her tennis partner said it. Her children never said it. They spent a lot of time with Rick's mom, who was always home, who ate cookies out of a box and played poker with them. See, our kids don't want a super mom. They want us to be there. That's what they're asking. And this super mom myth is truly nothing but that. It's a myth, and it can't happen. Again, I'm not saying that you don't do any of these activities. I'm saying you make sure those top 2 priorities, loving that husband, loving those children, are taken care of first. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about this morning is the fact that we as moms are home builders. Proverbs here says that she looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Would you like to taste that bread some days? I bet it tastes pretty good. But she doesn't eat the bread of idleness. Letter A, building a home is a call of God. A wise woman builds her house, the foolish tears it down with her own hands. And I don't think when we picture the foolish woman tearing it down, I don't think she's maliciously just destroying it. I think through the choices she's making, she is allowing that home to be torn apart. Building a home is an art form. Anybody can decorate a house. We're not talking about decorating a house. We're talking about building a home for our husbands and children that is a safe haven from a cold and cruel world. Number 1 says that mother's home is her primary sphere of influence. It's our primary sphere of influence. Their security and self-worth are found there. The children's future is shaped by it. My home is my ministry to my children. That's where my influence is for them. It is not as room mother. It is not as soccer mom on the soccer field. It's not even teaching their Sunday school classes at church. My primary sphere of influence is in that home where they see me live life in front of them every day. That's where I'll have my influence on them. And I think sometimes the things that I emphasize at home, are they really things the kids are going to remember? You know, they're not going to remember or care that the den has 5 distinctly different but correlating fabric patterns. They're not going to remember the beautiful Waverly fabric on my Victorian chairs. They could care less. They're going to remember that nasty old table that I want to get rid of sometimes. They're going to remember the cuddle spots, the places where we spent time together. What will your children remember about your home? And at number 2, it says that a mother's home reflects her values. through my home, I am able to pass on to my kids my beliefs, my values. That's where they see it. I can talk to them about things until I am blue in the face, but until they see me live it out in front of them, and not perfection, we'll talk about that in a minute, but until they see me living life in front of them, it all means nothing. I found a real quick little poem, and it says, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. I'd rather one should walk with me than merely show the way. The eye is a better pupil, more willing than the ear. Fine counsel can be confusing, but example is always clear. For I might misunderstand the high advice you give, but there is no misunderstanding in how you act and how you live. Our lifestyle will have an incredible impact, can have an incredible impact on our children. At letter B, it says that building a home requires that a couple depends on the wisdom of God. And you need to circle the word couple here, because I've been talking about my home and my children. It's our home. It's our children. And it truly takes the husband and the wife working together to build this home that we're talking about. From Proverbs, it says that by wisdom that house is built, and by understanding it's established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. And it's not the riches of the world. It's the riches that only God can bring. All right, look at the top of page 110. And as we head into this page, I want eyeball to eyeball contact. This is my prayer for you right now, that as we head into this page, I want you to truly hear what my heart is sharing with you. Invariably, someone will come up to me and say, you are too tough on working women. I want to tell you, I am going to be tough right now on all of us. When I'm going through this page, I am not simply talking about moms that work outside the home. I am also talking to moms who are stay-at-home moms who are overly involved in activities, volunteer activities outside the home. All right? Look at number 1 with me. It says a couple should prayerfully consider and then agree upon their motives and priorities before mom becomes involved in too many activities outside the home. And look at the first 3 questions first. These are great things to ask. Will the additional activity compete with the child's need for nurturing and care? In other words, can I still give to my children the things they need to give if I'm involved in this activity? Letter B, will her husband receive the love and attention he needs to succeed? It always goes back to that number 1 earthly priority. Am I there for him as well? And C, this is the one that kicks me. Is she emphasizing personal fulfillment through a career or outside activities instead of through her relationship with God and the dynamics of her family? Now I'm going to tell y'all, my heart has been convicted, and he has to keep coming back and convicting me throughout life, that I do tend to overcommit myself. I do tend to become involved in things. And I do like, I'm telling you who I am here, girls, I do like for people to say, wow, you just do a great job. How can you be such a good this and a good that? And blah, blah, blah. I feed on that. But God touched my heart right after Mason was born. And he said, precious one, I gave you that child. Do you remember that gift I gave you? You're going to be there for that child. And I had to pull way back on the things that I was doing. And this is going to tell you even more about who I am, that we've laid everything else in front of you, so why not this? Not too long after Mason was born, and I did say no to a lot of things. I was coming home from the volunteer luncheon at the elementary school, and I said, Lord, I'm doing it your way. But if I do it your way, I'm never going to get that Volunteer of the Year award. I'm not going to have those plaques and those trophies that these other women are having because I'm doing it your way. And in his precious way, he touched my heart and he said, Beth, you'll be rewarded, precious. Maybe not here. Maybe not now in what you're seeing right now. Your reward will be there. Let me tell you this. Take great care in what you do beyond your husband and children. Again, I'm not saying don't do anything. Be careful in the choices that you make. And I'll tell you this too. As I began to say no, it's not that I got warm, ooey-gooey hugs from everybody around me going, yeah, you go, girl, that's right, you be there for your kids and your family. I got a lot of negative comments. I got a lot of negative stares from people who feel like I'm not pulling my weight anymore. You know where I got a lot of that from? The church. You just have to realize what God is calling your heart to. And I've had to remind myself I am not accountable to anybody out there. I am accountable to God for loving that husband and taking care of those children He has given me as a gift. So think carefully before you add on those additional activities. And look at letter D. If the activity provides an income, ask yourself this: is this extra income essential to meet needs or wants? In other words, ask yourself, do I really need to work? You know what, you volunteer people? You're spending time away from your kids. See, working moms, y'all are so easily drawn away from the priority relationships because things are hectic at work. There are so many needs there that just distract you. Stay-at-home moms that volunteer all over the place, you're drawn away too, but you know what? You're not even adding any income to the family either, which to me is an even double whammy there. But if you're a working mom, ask yourself, do I really need to do that? Under number 2, it says there are seasons in a family when mom's activities may be more appropriate than at other times. The great time to do this is before you have children. But I want to say this too. If I could go back and change anything about Chuck and me before we had children, it would be that I would treasure more time together with just the two of us. I think sometimes this before children, we start thinking we've got all the time to do all these different things. Make sure you enjoy these precious years where it's just the two of you. But more appropriate pre-children, letter B is financial hardship. C is an empty nest after the kids are gone. By letter B, if you are working truly because you need to, I would have you jot a few things down. First of all, as a couple, pray for God's provision for you. Pray that God would work a way for you to be able to be there at home. Now, you can pray for the monetary support. And if God has you where you are right now for His reasons, then you need to pray for Him to give you that energy, that multiplied time that it takes to do what He needs for you to do at home as well. You and your husband sit down and examine that budget together. Look for creative ways to come up with income. There are lots of great things out there that you can do chiseled around that time with your family. And then, you know what I say to you, is after you have done all that and God has you where He has you, then let go, trust God, and do not allow others to place a guilt on your heart for where God may have you at this time. Number 3 says that there are seasons when a family's needs can be undermined by mom's distractions with too many activities outside. Young children, I think we would all agree to that. Everybody agrees that young children need us to be there. My big thing is letter B. And it's not just the teenage years, it's the preteen years. I am becoming more and more convinced that 8 to 12 are the crucial years in child rearing. A lot of people will say that's a time to take a break because it's kind of easy, smooth sailing. Those are the years to dig in and go for it, girls. Those preteen years and those teenage years, we are needed in a crucial way. Chuck and I have worked with teenagers for almost 15 years now at our church. I cannot tell you the number of afternoons my doorbell rings and there's a teenager there. Now, 9 times out of 10, it's not because there's some critical issue they need to talk about. They just want somebody to be there. They just want to talk. Crucial years for you to be there. And letter C, the husband will always need that supportive wife. Chuck will always come before my children, as hard as that is to realize sometimes. I need to be there for him. Number 4, the attitude that a couple has about a mom's importance in the family will directly influence how the children value their mom and her role. Chuck is really good at this. I asked him to share this with the guys, and I don't know if he'll think it's too corny, and he may not. I want to share with you something that he does. Every now and then I'll be cooking dinner or getting the last little bits of supper together, and everybody's washed up, and I notice they're huddling at the kitchen table. Well, I kind of know what's going on by this point, but when I come to the table, the entire family stands to a standing ovation for Mom. Chuck has orchestrated this, and they are cheering for me. Now, this does two things. First of all, it makes me feel really good. But the most important thing it does is it teaches those children, that lady right there, she is so important. Chuck can do a better job of it than I can. I have tried by saying, do you know what I'm doing for you? Do you know how tired I am, what I'm giving up for you? It doesn't have the same effect as if Chuck tells them. And guys, they will carry this into their homes one day as well. It's crucial that both of you are able to support that. All right, look on page 111. We're a builder of homes. The next thing we are is we are a lover of children. Letter A says mother's love is nurturing. And you can read the scripture there, but there is nothing like a mother's love. We can teach them principle after principle after principle, but they're not going to hear it until they know that they are loved first. And at letter B, a mother's love involves time and attention. They need to be that valued priority, and they need great amounts of time and attention to be healthy and well-adjusted. You know, you went through that phase where you heard, well, what's really important is the quality time. Kids don't just need quality time, they need quantity time. And only a mother can sit through the southern heat, 105-degree temperature, through a little league softball game, sweat coming out of every pore in your body, and it's like 2 hours later and they're at the bottom of the second inning and you know it's going on forever. And only a mom can sit there and act like it is such a privilege to be there cheering for her child. They know they need that attention, but let me tell you, they are smart and they know when they're being squeezed out. They can tell it. To be healthy and well-adjusted, they need our time. Letter C could be an entire weekend. It's that a mother's love includes training and instruction. And I love the proverb here that a child who gets his own way brings shame to his mother. Correct your son, and he will give you comfort and he will delight your soul. See, somewhere along the way, we have been fooled into thinking that if we discipline our children, we will damage them for life. We bought into that somewhere in our society, and we can see where that's gotten us as well. Our children need to have limits set, and they will thrive in a setting where the limits are there. And let me tell you this too. You're not just training them to do the right thing. You're training their hearts to know why they're doing the right thing. Teach them the biblical reasons why. Train their hearts, not just their minds and bodies. I'm in the middle of a great book right now, and I'm not going to recommend it because I haven't gotten to the end of it, but I might call you and recommend it later. But one thing he says, he contrasts obedience to responsibility. And it says that we want to be so proud when people say, oh, you have such an obedient child. But that the real joy should come when they say, you have such a responsible child. Obedience is doing the right thing because they're told to do it. In those preteen years, you begin to train them for responsibility. That's when they're doing the right thing because they choose to do it. And it's because they have been trained in their hearts to know why they're making that choice. Training and instruction in our children is such an important matter in life. Don't be afraid to discipline. Letter D says that God will honor a mother's love by blessing her and by blessing her children. God does not promise us a perfect life. He does not promise us perfect children. But we are promised for His blessings to be on both of us. All right, the final section. We're home builders, we're lovers, and finally we are teachers of our children. Proverbs 31 says, she opens her mouth in wisdom, and teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Boy, there are some days when that kindness, particularly sometimes of month, when that kindness is not on my tongue. Whew. Now, when the kids were young, we've talked a lot now, and they realize more of what's going on in my little PMS modes. But I remember the days when they were really young, and, you know, I just wanted to take them and say, you see this woman? This is not your mom. Your mommy has gone away for a few days, but she'll be back, okay? Now that my almost 10-year-old little girl already has the hormones beginning to stir, it really is teaching me, the Lord is teaching me to get a rein in on my hormones. Now, it's a very real problem, and I always have people coming up to me, with the wild Mexican yam creams and all the great things that they say to do for PMS. And I have tried a lot of different things, and the Lord is working on me, and I have found something that's wonderful. But I'm just saying, it is so easy to allow my temperament just to spit right out there the things that I really want to say, and I've got to guard my tongue. Letter A. Let me tell you how bad it got at one point, though, guys. I got to say this. Chuck used to mark his calendar so that he could prepare himself so he'd know when it was coming. Letter A says that a mother teaches by communicating her values and her priorities, by being a model that her children can pattern themselves after. Now let me say, first of all, I cannot begin to teach my children about the Lord and to share with them a relationship with the Lord until my heart is where it needs to be with the Lord. I have got to find that quiet time during my day, and my quiet time is during that morning, the morning hours, before the house starts coming alive. I've got to have those quiet times to settle my heart, to be ready for what God has in store for me that day. Some of you may not be early risers. There are other ways. When Mason was still the toddler at home, there are other ways, and I'll be glad to talk with you afterwards to work on this quiet time during your morning, even with little children around. There are ways to do it, and it's a vital thing for you to do. Letter B says that the mother is the primary teacher of the next generation. She teaches her daughter about being a godly woman. She models to her daughter the significant impact of her role as a wife and mother in God's design. See, Chuck can't teach Spencer those things. And if I don't do it, ladies, it's frightening to think who's going to do it. Somebody's going to. It's my responsibility to bring her up to know God's desires for her as a woman. She models to her son the kind of woman that she should marry. I have a friend in family life, Helen Yoder, and her children all came through our youth group. And her son was at our house one night, and we were talking with this group, and I just threw out a question of, tell me what you're looking for in a mate one day. What are some characteristics? And they were saying different things. David, Helen's son, said, I want somebody just like my mom. Now, this was a junior in high school. And I said, ooh, I need to spend time with that woman. I want to know what it is. Whatever she was modeling for David, it was something that he saw that he desired in a wife one day as well. Number 4 said that she teaches her son how to honor and appreciate a woman's responsibilities of being a wife and a mom. We can do no greater service for our future daughters-in-law than to teach our sons how to respect a woman. We teach them now the gentlemanly things to do. We teach them how to lovingly talk. I tell Ford all the time when he is ready to kill Spencer or he thinks, what is she crying about now? I keep telling him, the Lord has blessed you with this other little girl in your life. You're on a training ground right now, child, and you're able to grow up knowing how to communicate with the female sex, and it is very different from your sex. But what a great training ground there for him to know how to treat a woman, how to communicate with a woman, how to respect a woman. And when we teach them these things, we are beginning in the early years with it, and we are in essence teaching them how to have a good marriage even now. Chuck loves to say, more is caught than taught. They are noticing, they are helping. Let me tell you this too. One of the best things that I can teach my children is how to fail. Does that make sense? Boy, more times than not, I don't do it right. But how important for me to be able to show my children how to fail, how to admit my failure, how to go to them and ask for their forgiveness, and how to go on from there. Those are the things we model for them as well. Now, we're not perfect. We can't be perfect. Robert Lewis and William Hendricks, one more time from that book, Rock and the Rolls, they talk about what we're teaching our children. They say, this is the most significant legacy that you will leave on this entire planet What you leave in your estate, what you accomplish in your career, what you do for your community, even the help you give to your church, none of these will have quite as powerful an impact as the children that you will send out into the world. The choices that we are making today in our homes are affecting the lives of children that we may never live to meet. We are not only affecting our home right now, we're affecting our children's homes, we're affecting our grandchildren's homes, our great-grandchildren's homes through the choices that we as moms and dads are making today. So look at the summary with me. At letter A, it says that a successful mom must be committed to God and His Word and not the world. She's got to spend time reading His Word. She has to pray diligently for her husband and children, and all of this requires faith, courage, and perseverance. At B, to become a successful mom, it requires that power from God that we've talked about, His Spirit to carry out, and it is an immense responsibility. And then at letter C, a crucial question: what kind of legacy will you as a mother leave? Now, ladies, we're all going to leave a legacy. Everybody's going to leave a legacy. But what kind will you leave? Lamentations 2:19 says to pour out your hearts like water before the Lord. Raise up your hands to Him for the lives of your children. If you were to ask me the greatest thing that we can do for our kids, I would say we need to pray for them. We need to undergird them with our prayers. One of the greatest things that I am involved in is a group called Moms in Touch. We are moms that meet in a home once a week to pray for children in the schools. And it's a vital international organization. I'd love to tell you about it if you're interested. But I also think there is a lullaby that I used to sing to my boys. And it's Bless My Son. And it's a prayer for a son. And I would sing it to Spencer and change the words a little bit. But it's a prayer not that they would be straight-A students, not that they would have great health, or that they would be popular, that they would be sports stars, not even that their lives would be problem-free. It's a prayer for spiritual character that can come from God, that will build them into the men and women of God that we desire for them to be one day. I was going to read this to you, but somehow it loses something in the translation. So if you bear with me, I'm going to sing you this lullaby as we close. May he have the faith of Abraham. May he have the boldness of Paul. May he have a heart like David, always seeking God, always seeking God. Father God, bless my son. May he grow to be a man of God. May he have the wisdom of Solomon. May he have the patience of Job. May he be a leader like Joshua, always full of hope, always full of hope. May he have the courage of Daniel. May he have the love of John. And may he know your voice like Samuel, and always obey God, always obey God. Father God, oh bless my son. May he grow to be a man of God. help him grow to be a man of God. That's what we want. Thank you. Let me just encourage you, on those days when you are ready to throw in the towel, you remember what a vital difference you make in the lives of your children, and that what you are doing today will have an eternal impact on the lives to come. Bless you, moms.
That was Family Life Weekend to Remember conference speaker Beth Simmons speaking about Mom. On the next CD, we'll hear from Bob Lepine on the husband's responsibility for oneness.